theskimaster.com.
Well, speaking of boots, you're here. We should at least talk about it, dude. What's going on with BOA? Are you stoked? I mean, I know you guys aren't doing any, but like, are you stoked on the technology? Do you like the idea of it? Like, what are your thoughts?
BOA is one of the funniest examples to me of like the industry just hating change, and like just even before anyone's had it in their hand and like had the opportunity to try a boot on, just being like, that's dumb, I hate it already. So for us, like,
too big,
BOA approached, as you're seeing, I mean, we've got 4 brands that are bringing a BOA boot out next year. BOA approached most manufacturers with this new system that they had there, and obviously like pitched the benefits of it, kind of like we're interested in what projects each brand were working on at the time, if it might work in there. For us, just the kind of projects we had in the pipeline with doing a Cochise HV that's coming out now, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to try and like incorporate a BOA into that necessarily. And obviously like the same questions everyone's asking about, like, what benefits does this have? What's the long-term kind of durability of it? Like more questions than immediate obvious benefit for us. So we obviously didn't jump on the ship this year, but I'm excited. Like BOA is an interesting platform to kind of think about how that could change the fit of boots there and where that might apply. Like I'm not sure it's every boot would benefit from it, but it's something unique there. And I'm more interested to see just like kind of where it finds its cruising altitude within the industry on what models. The main question we have with Tecnica boots around is actually more in the customization side of things. Is like obviously you can try to put that BOA where it's not necessarily a super critical fit zone, but like we've also hung our hat on, you can customize every square inch of a Tecnica boot
for sure.
And that would be one area that's a little bit challenging to make a punch or do a grind or anything like that. But yeah, again, like I'm definitely not on team BOA hate for sure. I'm on team like, let's see where this thing lands, because I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, us too. I mean, all the ones we've tried on are awesome. I mean, they fit awesome. The mechanism seems to work great. The micro adjust is cool.
Well, it's a true micro adjust. I think it's like you have 142 adjustments on a BOA versus on a buckle. With micro adjust, you have like 40 something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So way more adjustable. And like with some of the hate I've been like seeing on Twitter with this thing or whatever, on a snowboard boot or even on like a cycling shoe, the BOA has way more resistance going against it. Like, on a snowboard boot, it's like right up on your leg, and you're flexing into that thing, and there's so much more stress on the cable and the mechanism. In the ski boot, I mean, that's more of like just a fit adjustment, and it is way overbuilt, like beyond what any of those other BOAs are. So I'm not worried about it durability wise. I don't think anything bad is going to happen there. I mean, you'd really have to mess up. But I mean, even like the ones that we have over here that we've smashed on stuff, like you just put it back on. That part's great.
It pops right back on.
And we just got a kit and we've started messing around with like replacing stuff. That seems all slick, but you are right. Like on the customization aspect, no, that isn't in a spot that typically needs work, but that's a legit argument.
Yeah, that's was kind of one of our main sticking points, and again, just didn't necessarily line up with the project we were working on at the time. To your point, I think like obviously everybody wants to compare it to the BOA that's on their mountain bike shoes or on the soccer cleats or whatever. Like the reason you're seeing it on ski boots now is it's a new product that BOA developed that in theory like answers to a lot of those questions there. So yeah, again, I mean in the end, the consumers will decide. Obviously, all the listeners will figure out, where this thing works, if it's cool, if it's not cool, and I'm excited to see. It's not every day you get to see kind of a wholesale change to the fundamental way you close your boots. Like every boot on the market, aside from a couple of the like really light touring boots, is a buckle. Mm-hmm. So it's just cool to see something different out there for sure.
Yeah.
So, and Joe, I'll ask you because you fit more boots than most people will fit in their entire life, like daily. So like from someone that's going to basically have instant feedback, from the consumer, like what have you gotten so far? Because we have some in Ski Monster, and like, what do you think people are going to say when you bring it out and you show it? And because I mean, you talk to people about boots a lot.
Yeah, I think what I'm most excited for about just BOA in general across the top of the foot is there's too many people out there that crank the shit out of the buckles on their boot. It's going to be way more difficult for them to over tighten a BOA closure as opposed to just here's 4 ladders on a buckle and I can just hammer it all the way over. Because if you can crank that BOA buckle dial to where it feels just good on your foot, and it's not like how far should I buckle my boots?
That's so interesting because there's that many slots for you to put a
Right,
buckle
you
in.
think just
There's
use
like
them.
this. Oh, I got to use them all.
They're
Use them up.
That's not the case.
I'm wasting 2 of them. I got to
If you
get all
don't
the way
use
over
it, you
there.
lose it.
Right. So I think it'll be nice with the dial. You know, there's less of the, hey, I went out skiing, the top of my foot is crushed, and now I don't have to ask, did you buckle this all the way over? Because they're just going to turn that dial to where it feels pretty good on their feet.
Yeah.
Which I think will be really good. It'll probably save custom boot work appointments, in all honesty, because people aren't going to be cutting off the circulation of their foot unless they really hammer that dial.
Right. And it's a good instep story too.
Yeah.
You know, from a customization standpoint,
Yeah.
customization from the actual BOA, not from the boot
Yeah,
shell.
I think people will be happier in general with the way the top of their feet feel and the size of their feet feel inside a boot because
Yeah.
they're not hammering buckles all the way over.
Do you feel, it's same for you, both you guys, like the size of it? I mean, it's definitely big.
It's a big dial.
And everyone, like, that's going to be the first thing that everyone says, like, dude, when I'm like getting my boots up, dude, like I'm going to pop this thing. Like, you're not Steve Nyman.
It's big, but it's not that big. And like buckles are big.
Yeah.
It's no different, you know, the odds of you know, leaning a ski over so far or knocking it off the side of a tree or whatever is the same as knocking a buckle off. Like it doesn't stick out that much farther than a typical buckle would. So I don't know.
But you know that's what's going to be said every
Definitely.
time.
But everyone
Yeah, I
said
said it.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's going to open as soon as they take it, before you even put it on their foot, they're going to be like, look at the size of that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you guys have probably already gotten that.
No one has said that to me yet, but they've been like, as they're cranking up, it's kind of like, wow, that's pretty cool.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, is this too tight? Is this too loose? It's like, oh, here we go. This is how tight I want it. And
Yeah.
it fits.
I mean, I think
nice.
it's have you tried one on yet? Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yep.
All of them?
Not all of them. No. I've tried the Atomic on and the K2 on, and both are pretty cool. I mean, obviously, it was clear to us, even as we were testing it, like you need to build the lower shell of the boot such that you're planning to have a BOA on it.
Oh, yeah.
You can't really just slap the BOA on in replacement of the buckles. So it's clear, obviously, the brands that like kind of took that initiative there, and yeah, it's cool how it like progressively builds that pressure versus a buckle, even if you've been skiing forever. Like it's a little bit trial and error, figuring exactly
Right.
what notch you want to be in there.
I also like it because it looks expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks it does. It looks like initially I was nervous before I saw it when George was like, yo, there's a lot of BOA boots, and I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, man, like thinking to George's point about what the BOA looks like on a snowboard boot, you know what I mean, or like a climbing shoe or whatever. And you're like, man, that doesn't look it looks kind of cheap. And then when you see the finished product with the BOA on the ski boots, you're like, damn, that's not like any other BOA I've seen. Like that looks like a finished expensive.
Well, yeah,
BOA.
because it's attached to plastic, not like a piece of cloth or
Yeah.
like a tongue.
Right.
Yeah, way more substantial.
I'm excited to ski in a couple and test them out, but